Planet Coaster 2 is simply incredible. It feels like a worthy successor to Planet Coaster 1 with exciting additions like pools, water slides, and a host of impressive new building mechanics. However, just like any good roller coaster, there are ups and downs, and some big ones. So, let's dive into the good, the bad, the ugly, and the great of Planet Coaster 2. My name is Leaf, and thank you guys for checking out this video. This is going to serve as my kind of fundamental first impressions review over the first few weeks of having the game. A huge shout out to Frontier for allowing me early access to sample this game for you all, and really extrapolate how I have been able to adapt as a returning Planet Zoo and Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 player. I did not play that much Planet Coaster 1, but I did dabble with it a little bit, so I know how the controls kind of were in that game. Alright, let's jump into it. This game is fantastic. I honestly cannot imagine going back to Planet Coaster 1 after this. The controls, they feel so much more streamlined, and I feel like Frontier has borrowed some great features from Planet Zoo and other games like Prehistoric Kingdom that significantly enhance the entire overall building experience and the entire gameplay, really. We'll cover those in a little bit more detail shortly, but I have spent a fair amount of time in career mode. It's something that you definitely don't want to skip. If you're a brand new Planet Coaster player to the series, coming from either Planet Zoo or this is your first Planet game in general, this is a solid tutorial that gives new players just a thorough grasp of the game's mechanics and controls. As you progress too, the challenges ramp up nicely, perfect for those who enjoy a little bit more of a challenge in this genre. I've completed about 4 or 5 maps so far, and the career mode has been a great way to learn a lot more of the intricate game's ins and outs. Another standout feature to me is the workshop integration, which allows cross-platform sharing between PC and console players for blueprints and for maps as well. As someone who personally finds building on console a bit tedious, I appreciate the more laid-back vibe it kind of offers, don't get me wrong. But when I play these kinds of games, I like to really hone in on the details and really make something that I'm very proud of. So for me, being a PC player is very paramount. I need that mouse and keyboard. However, the fact that I am able to connect with the console players, those who have PS5 or Xboxes, I think that's a very worthwhile addition, and I'm very happy about the kind of implementation of the Frontier Workshop. Overall, it just makes the community so much more tight-knit. I always feel such a big disconnect with the Planet Zoo community in general because half of the players are console players and they don't have half of the DLCs, and they also don't have the same experience that the PC players have. They don't have access to the same maps that, say for example, I tour on the YouTubes and whatnot. So being able to actually connect with console players, being able to actually connect with the rest of the community is such a worthwhile addition. It makes me so happy. And as much as I love this game, it wouldn't be a complete review without touching on the drawbacks. One of the biggest frustrations is that for a game centered around building, it sometimes feels like it actively resists letting you build. I originally took some heat during early access for saying that the controls felt clunky compared to Planet Zoo. Now, although there have been some improvements, and remapping keys is honestly an essential first step to an optimal experience, there's still so much to be left to be desired. I'm just thinking about all the crucial features from Planet Zoo that we've been so used to, but are not here, like random rotation, aligned to a water surface, position snap hotkeys for tracked rides and pathing so I could get perfectly angled rides and paths, flexi-color retention for grouped items, multi-select without having to confirm every single selection. Even when you're in the flexi-color menu, changing the color of an item, you have to click confirm. I don't get it. For a game that is so focused on building, these oversights to me are a real setback. It almost feels like the game was optimized for console users, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it can make it harder to dive into that intuitive, fast-paced building style that I used to love in Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster. It's especially frustrating to need so many extra clicks just to confirm actions or adjust colors If I already selected a color, I know that's a color I want, so why make me confirm it? I had mentioned flexi-color retention for grouped items, and I think that this needs to really be dived in a lot more, because this to me is very egregious. It makes building so, it just makes it so complicated. And it really doesn't have to be. There's tons of quote-unquote groups of items in this game. Say, for example, wood pieces from the same set, stone pieces from the same set, the marbles pieces from the mythology theme, even those aquatic rock. If I am placing down a rock in that specific color and I change it from, let's just say, purple to red, wouldn't all the other rocks in that very same group be changed to red as well? No, the game just says, no, you want the purple one. No, you want to build with the purple one. We designed it for the purple one, even though every single item in this game pretty much is flexi color. This was a thing, I believe, in Planet Coaster 1 as well, but definitely in Planet Zoo, where we did not have to do the whole song and dance of, oh no, you don't want the red. You don't want the red, right? No, you want the purple one. The purple looks good, right? Right, player? I don't know, to me it's just, why wasn't this fixed before the game even came out? Another issue arises when creating tracks for rides like a wooden mouse coaster or making pathways. When I am making something like a wooden mouse coaster, whether it's wooden or steel, these kinds of rides, they usually have sharp turns and slopes, but the angle snap button does not work on rides like it does for construction pieces. It just makes it so much harder than it should be, because I like to toggle between the angle snap, and I like to toggle between that and doing a little bit more of a freeform kind of turn. Maybe a freeform overhead bank or something like that. Now, obviously the smoothing controls have obviously improved so much, so it doesn't really matter. But to me, I just really need that button back, and it's kind of silly why they took it away in the first place, because it was working in Planet Zoo. And there's a whole bunch of smaller issues as well, like limited control over the weather in sandbox mode, and the lack of certain map types. I mean, I'm sure you've already heard about, yeah, you can't turn off the rain in this game, which is terrible. But yeah, we're lacking certain map types, like a desert map or a grasslands map. I really enjoy the ones that we have so far, do not get me wrong. The Taiga one is beautiful, the Mediterranean, which I guess is kind of like a grasslands map, that's also beautiful. We have the tropical map, which is great, and of course we have classic temperate map, which is beautiful. But where's my desert map? I feel like, well, I kind of expect at this point that updates will bring these elements, but it's kind of silly that it's not included from the start. Another issue I have too is the scenery brush. You can't change out the colors on items when you put them down with the scenery brush. For example, I really like the aquatic rocks. Like, I talk about these babies every single day because they're just great pieces, except when they glow in the dark. Please, Frontier, fix that. But to me, they're a really, really useful piece, and if I want to make a large gravel pit or, like, you know, a whole bunch of rocks together with a certain color of rock in mind, I can't do that unless if I go through and flexi-color the entire thing. But chances are, if you're doing a large piece of the map with this terrain paint feature, you're going to have other flexi-color items in there, and you will be absolutely changing those colors too. To me, it's just a little silly why this wasn't included, like just the chance to recolor them. I don't know. But my last bad complaint, I guess, is the significant limitation on custom trains. This was a feature that was a major selling point to me. I was over the moon when they said, oh, you can stick a tree onto a ride, and you could have it be like the funniest ride ever. But also, you can do some really beautiful custom trains for roller coasters and stuff. But roller coasters typically aren't the ones with custom trains. You know which ones are? Those are gonna be your tracked rides. Those are gonna be your doom buggies. Those are gonna be your 4D rides. Those are gonna be every single one of those. The transport rides, all that stuff. You can't put items on it, and I feel like Frontier will be including that in the future. But to me, that's just a little silly as to why we don't have that. And now we get into the ugly of the game. I know it sounds like I'm complaining a lot, I know, but I'm confident that a lot of this stuff will be fixed. But let's kind of jump into this ugly. It's not too much in here, but something that I feel like is very important. I mean, visually, the game is stunning. It's clear that the art style has evolved since Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster, but in some areas, it feels like it's taken a bit of a step backward, especially with the foliage. In some ways, the foliage is really realistic. We have some really awesome flexicolor pieces now, which are very, very handy for making custom bushes, but certain pieces oddly feel downgraded from Planet Zoo. The textures on the rocks and plants, for example, having noticeable repeating textures and patterns, which distracts from the overall look. It's almost like Frontier didn't trust Planet Coaster players to achieve the same realism as they did in Planet Zoo, which is a little bit of a letdown because I've already seen incredible creators put forward some beautiful, realistic, top-notch builds. But to me, it feels like Frontier doesn't trust us to do that. And this issue could be replaced as soon as tomorrow, I guess, but one major issue for me is the lack of compatibility with NVIDIA's Ansel photo mode. So if you have a GeForce graphics card, this allows you to add filters and enhance visuals, and it essentially functions as reshade for games like Planet Zoo. It even does it for Red Dead Redemption, and I guess Fortnite too. But not having Ansel in Planet Coaster 2 is a big miss for anyone who loves to showcase their work in the best light possible, and I'm really hoping that this is a day one addressed issue. I feel like it's just an issue because we're in early access right now, but fingers crossed it will be fixed. Okay, that was a lot of negativity. Let's end it on a good note. Let's talk about the great of this game, because there really is so much to be appreciated about this. After several weeks of play, I can officially say, and confidently at that Planet Coaster 2 is great. There's so much to discover and play around with. The path system, for example, is a huge improvement from previous games, making it so much easier to create these large plazas and add tons of decoration. Pools, which are basically just water paths, are another exciting addition, even if the guest mechanics can be a little finicky at times. The lighting system is a game changer too, finally allowing for realistic dark rides, a dream come true for creators wanting to immerse themselves and build these really immersive themed rides. The new tools give us endless possibilities for creative expression, and once I start a project, I find it so hard to put the game down. The POVs and the coaster rider and the ride viewer modes, oh my god, those are top notch. They are slick. Overall, this game is a blast. I've nearly sunk about 50 hours into it, and it's been an incredible experience. While there definitely are some areas for improvement, I'm confident that these will be ironed out in future updates. If you love building parks and coasters, Planet Coaster 2 is a fantastic sandbox experience, both for franchise and career modes. They both offer like a plenty wild challenge. So if you are kind of a goal-oriented player, this will definitely scratch that itch for you. All my Planet Zoo fans who are probably checking out this video, this game is super fun. However, you're not building habitats, you're building coasters. So do keep that in mind. It is a little bit different from Planet Zoo, and the controls, once you switch them over, are pretty much the same. And it is that classic kind of like build for your guests, have your guests entertained, which kind of is the same thing as Planet Zoo. It's just this time your guests can ride the attractions and not just look at them. Now, one thing I was not planning to include in this video, but it is here, which makes me so happy, is they're already addressing some of my biggest issues I've had with this game when I originally reviewed it, honestly. In a community blog post, they've already addressed the fact that custom music, sounds, and billboards will be added to this game eventually in a future update. This is going to be great, as I know so many people love to build coasters with specific songs in mind. They like to add their own little sound effects. They like to have all their custom images on billboards and stuff like that. That is going to be so good and so helpful. They have confirmed that load and unload stations will be added in the future, which is very helpful. I understand many people actually do load onto roller coasters on a certain point, and then they load off of roller coasters at a certain point too. It's not typically always the same station, so that's going to be very interesting to see. So they did mention specifically that coaster cars, neutral coaster cars, they didn't mention track rides, but they will have vanilla versions of their same trains as well. So if you look at a super themed ride, like let's just say for example the Junior Coaster, if they do include a neutral version of that in the future, that will be perfectly ironed out. Like we'll have a perfectly customizable one, so we can probably make our own custom dragon, or we can do the ladybugs from Roller Coaster Tycoon. I don't know, there's just so many options, which is going to make me so excited. But this is all in the future updates, and it's very exciting to know that they have this stuff planned and they're being very transparent. That is what makes me so excited about this new rollout of Frontier, where it feels like they're being a lot more honest, they're being a lot more open with the future of Planet Zoo, for example, with the future DLCs, and just so many other things too, which makes me so excited. But that was it, my friends. I hope this review didn't come across as too negative, because I am incredibly grateful for the opportunity that Frontier has given me for the early access. It's allowed me to really explore everything that this game has to offer. As a content creator though, it is my duty really to give a complete overview, both the highs and the lows, so you can make an informed decision about buying this game for yourself. Overall, it's a really good game with the potential to honestly become a great one. If you're passionate about park building, this is definitely worth picking up. Just remember to trust your instincts. If something doesn't feel right with you, it's probably best to go with your gut. All my Planet Zoo fans, this game is definitely fun, but if you're expecting building habitats and stuff like that, that's not really what this game is about. This game is about building theme parks and coasters, which I guess you can kind of understand there's a little bit of overlay, which, hey, try it out if you want to. The game is officially out for purchase, at least. I think by the time this video goes out, you should be able to get that pre-order bonus with the water coaster. I think that's cool. With the cube, I think that's alright. And with the Doom buggies, which I think is a little ridiculous that they're being held behind that little time slot paywall, but they're a really awesome ride, so definitely go check that out. We'll end it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Are you getting Planet Coaster 2? Are you going to wait for a sale? Are you waiting until they add something specific? I'm so curious to know what you guys have to say. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Be sure to stay tuned and possibly consider subscribing to stay up to date with any Planet Coaster 2 news in the future, and to stay up to date with my Planet Coaster 2 builds. I'm having such a fun time with that. But with that being said, have the most wonderful days, and we'll see you all in the next video. Take care, and bye-bye.